Hello, everybody. This is Gerald Celente, and it's Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. And once again, we have with us a man of men that no one in America can match when it comes to the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. Oh, two things that we don't have anymore, but he knows a lot about them. It's Judge Andrew Napolitano, a real paisano, and a man that cares about the spirit of America, what America was founded upon, and how it's been lost. And Judge, thanks for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Gerald. You know, you say we don't have them anymore, and we say it with a little bit of humor. Unfortunately, there's more truth than humor. The Bill of Rights has become a bill of privileges that the government, like a water spigot, thinks it can turn on in good times and turn off in bad times, even though the Bill of Rights restrains the government from interfering with our personal natural rights that don't come from the government, that the government has no moral authority to interfere with, but it does every day.
It's so sad what's happened to this country and how it's gone down. But again, you know, as you point out in your article that's coming out tomorrow, Government by Experts, and it's about, you know, the Supreme Court and regarding an environmental issue. But you go on here, you know, to say how the people that destroyed this country were two little egomaniacs. One Abraham Lincoln, which everybody loves because they don't know any of the details of what he's done. And you go on to mention that because of the Civil War that he started, which had nothing to do with slavery. Correct. The only slavery that happened was we became slaves of the federal government. And how many people he killed? Some 750,000. Destroyed the South, the beautiful buildings and the culture that was created when the nation was founded. And Woodrow Wilson, another murderous little piece of crap that gave us the World War I. You point out the bankster bandits, the Federal Reserve System, federal income tax, and robbing us of our constitutional rights by passing, what was that act that he passed?
The Espionage Act.
Yeah, espionage.
Right. I mean, the Espionage Act, the government is used to punish speech. Norman Thomas, the socialist leader, who was an undergraduate at Princeton with Woodrow Wilson. Now, this is obviously long before he's a professor and president there, so they knew each other. Spent 2.5 years in a federal prison for speaking against World War I under the Espionage Act. The Department of Justice persuaded a federal judge and jury that he was harming the nation's national security by arguing we had no business getting in a fight between the last vestiges of European royalty over the borders between their kingdoms. But Wilson, of course, wanted us involved and punished the speech of those who opposed him. Wilson actually sent a federal agent, you'll get a kick out of this, to arrest Princeton students. Now, he's president now of the United States. He had been the president of Princeton. He sent a federal agent to arrest Princeton students. What was their crime? They were reading the Declaration of Independence out loud in front of a draft office, and they were arrested for interfering with the draft. And when people questioned the president, so what about the First Amendment? He said, well, the First Amendment says Congress shall make no law infringing upon the freedom of speech. I'm not the Congress. It doesn't pertain to me. Such a statement in a law school today would result in an F, because the First Amendment stops all government from interfering with the freedom of speech. Little historical footnote. What was the name of the federal agent sent to Trenton by Wilson to arrest these Princeton students? John Edgar Hoover.
That little slimy piece of crap.
Yep. And the rest, of course, is history.
Yep. Now, this guy, you know, you mentioned about, what was the name of that? His fellow student that he put in jail for 2 years.
Oh, Norman Thomas, the socialist leader. Yes.
Because he said that. Why?
Because he spoke out against the war. argued that World War I was none of our business and we shouldn't commit American lives to a battle over borders between European countries. Does that sound familiar?
Yep. and once upon a time, there was somebody that was a real warrior, and he was president. His name was George Washington. And he said, quote, "It is our true policy to steer clear of permanent alliance with any portion of the foreign world. Overgrown military establishments, which under any form of government are inauspicious to liberty, and which are to be regarded as particularly hostile to Republican liberty," meaning the Republic of America. And all that's lost now.
Oh, NATO. This is one thing that I agreed, one of several that I agreed very much with Trump on. We had no business being involved in NATO. The whole concept, the whole principle is antithetical to America staying out of foreign wars. I mean, this NATO thing is absurd. There's about to be a coup in Belarus, in Belarus, someplace that most Americans probably never heard of. President of Belarus is a good friend of Vladimir Putin. The military is about to conduct a coup there. The Polish military is going to enter the country in order to further the coup, and the Russian military is going to enter the country to oppose the coup. Russians against Poles under the NATO treaty. We'd be obliged to come in and fight the Russians in support of the Poles. This is absurd, but this is what the NATO treaty requires. So if Joe Biden's looking for an excuse for troops on the ground, he's about to have it.
You know, we had a big rally, of course, this past weekend, and unfortunately you couldn't make it because
I
in
missed
Switzerland. And it was great. And it started at 1:00 in the afternoon. And I'm walking over about 12:30, and there's this guy outside screaming. We had a big flag going across. You know, it's "Make America Healthy Again," yelling out, "Celente's nothing more than a Putin puppet."
Oh, God.
And so, of course, you know me, I'm very quiet and gentle.
Yeah, right. You ignored him.
Right, yeah, I ignored him. I said, well, I started running over there. I said, "Why don't you call me that, you?" And I went after this guy. He ran across the street. I said, "You come over here and talk to me like that," and with using other language.
Right.
I said, "You little coward." Anyway, you're talking about not being involved in foreign affairs. Most of the little clown boys and girls up here in Kingston, they all support America fighting in Ukraine, and they hate me. They hate me because I believe in the founding fathers and what this nation was founded upon. How dare I? How dare I be a true American when they're all a bunch of little low-life, cowardly slime? They're little Lindsey Graham lovers. A little slob that couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag.
Did you hear what he said yesterday or Sunday to President Zelensky?
Yep.
Killing Russians. Best money we ever spent.
Yep.
Talk about provoking the bear. Talking about public language so profoundly inappropriate for a person in the government. Talk about wanting to bring about World War III. Talk about wanting to use Ukraine as a battering ram against the Kremlin. Just despicable.
Just despicable. And the people up here are despicable. By the way, we had people coming from coast to coast, from Canada to America. They came from all over. And not a word in the mainstream, not a word we sent our press releases to local newspapers, nothing. No coverage for peace. Peace is not allowed. You are a little slime, Celente, for speaking about peace and being a warrior for the Prince of Peace when we're all a bunch of cowards who couldn't. Again, these are the little lowlives in my generation as well that protested the Vietnam War. You know why? Because they were getting drafted.
Right, right.
But they
Well,
don't protest
Gerald, the
these
next
wars.
rally that you have will probably have as its featured speaker Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
That's right.
Then the press will line up to cover it.
Yep.
Line up, and that line will go all the way out to the highway.
Yep. And we had Dennis Kucinich here, was terrific. One speaker after another, and the people were wonderful. But you know, these people call themselves liberals. Liberal, willing